Hey everybody, it's me Ashish, and before we begin, I just want to give a quick thank you to everybody listening, watching, and supporting the podcast. It means the world to us, and we're so appreciative. I just want to let you guys know that you guys can always ask us questions, give us segment ideas, and keep up with the fun, all at ashishandfriends.com. We're on Twitter at ashishandpals, we're on Instagram at ashishandfriends, and hey, we're even on Facebook, facebook.com/ashishandfriendspod. If you're watching this video, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. All that following and liking and subscribing will help us grow and keep going, so we appreciate it so much. And once again, thank you, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Yes, welcome to another great episode of the Ashish and Friends podcast. As always, I'm your host Ashish, and you can catch me on Instagram and on Twitter at Ashish Airy. I'm joined by my longtime friends and co-hosts. We've got Dev at Superlaser, and we've got Ryan in the house. So we're just past the midway point, really, in the NFL season, and we're just doing, quick kick around the surprises, the shocks, and then we're gonna, hone in on the NFC East and our favorite team. And one of the worst teams of all time right now, the Dallas Cowboys.
So fun fact, right? We did hit the exact midway game this week.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the last early game was the midway point of the number of games played.
Yeah, I was watching the Red Zone channel, and that guy was making a
Yeah.
huge deal out of it. He's like, "Okay, we're reaching the 128 point after this game finishes. 128 games have been played.
Right.
128 are left." I'm like, "All right."
So me watching that was like kind of what inspired that. I was like, yeah, we should actually just record this, right? It's like we hit the exact mid, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
right on time.
Yeah, exactly. Before the season, we made some predictions. Some of those look great. Some of them look horrible. So we're just going to go around and have a nice little conversation about the NFL. So, hey, let's start off in the AFC. So in the AFC East, we've got the Bills. We all predicted them to win the division, right? So that's on point. They're 7-2, like probably a little bit better than we expected, to be honest. Josh Allen has been on a tear. He had like a 2-game slump where like, oh no, maybe he's not an MVP. Then boom, right now against Seattle, he's like, dunking all in their faces, and he's been surprisingly good. We'll talk on the other teams. The Dolphins, they are 5-3. Surprisingly good as well, right? I mean, they threw in Tua. They didn't need to. Fitzpatrick was killing it, but they moved on. They're looking into the future, and that team looks really good too. I mean, let's see what they have for the future years, but they're setting up to be a really good team.
Right. Everyone talked about 8-game audition or whatever when Tua came in. Well, he's auditioned pretty well. He's looking like a playoff-ready quarterback already. So.
I didn't think the Dolphins would be so good coming in. I mean, even with Fitzpatrick, they were really dominant. I wasn't expecting that given their performance from last season.
Yeah.
I don't know how much changed in the offense. And then with the Bills, the 7-2 is great, but I'm not sold yet because the teams they've lost to are the playoff teams, and the teams that beat were the Jets, the Patriots.
They did beat the Seahawks this week, right?
They beat the Seahawks, which that impressed me because I didn't expect. I thought they were going to lose. I thought that wasn't, but he came 415 yards, and I don't know what happened, where that came from, but that impressed me. So I don't know what to believe yet.
Well, we'll get to the Seahawks, but their defense is it's in need of some work.
not great, but yeah, no, I kind of believe in the Bills now, right? They had that slump where like we all kind of lost trust in Josh Allen. I mean, it's just crazy they're doing so well, and they don't even have like a great run game, right? Singletary and Moss haven't been producing that well. They might get goal line carries, they get carries here and there, but it's just like all on Josh Allen's arm, and he's been pretty good. I mean, we gotta give him credit. He's progressed, and we love to see it. With the Finns, we talked about it. Tua killed it this last weekend. The week before, he was kind of dookie. I mean, it's mostly the defense. They got him a win, so we're like, oh, okay. But I mean, he looks like the real deal, and looking forward to that. So let's move on to Patriots, right? Me and Ryan, I think a couple of us maybe had him in the wild card, right? Like we predicted him to make the playoffs because I don't think we had him as this bad of a team. And I mean, it's something me and Sean touched on a while back, but it's like we saw all the people that opted out, right? Like, I mean, we kind of should have expected this, but it's pretty crazy to see the Pats at 3-5 right now.
Right, we're just coming off a game like where I mentioned it earlier. If Joe Flacco doesn't come in and tank command there at the end, right? Like with that pick, the Patriots might have lost this game, right? Against the Jets. You know?
Which I thought, I was on Twitter last night. Monday Night Football, you look at that matchup, you're like, Pats, Jets, disgusting, obviously early. Actually, a really good game, all right? I'll have to give them that. It was like 30-27 at the end of the game. But I thought it was just like a big ploy by Bill Belichick. He's like, hey, you know what? We're Jets aren't going to have the first draft pick. We're making progress towards there. We're gonna let them win. The players were like slipping out there, missing tackles. I was like, bro, this is just Bill Belichick like big brain this. He's like, you know what? We're just gonna tank and lose this game to the Jets and give them a win. But man, crazy game.
Yeah, I'm totally surprised by the Patriots. I think Bill Belichick always finds an answer, a way to get them in the playoffs and have a solid year. But I'm not sure if it's because have so many players opted out or what's happening that's holding them back. Because that division, I mean, I guess maybe partially because the Dolphins have risen up and the Bills have risen up and become challenges, and they've had kind of a challenging schedule with the Seahawks and some other teams in there. So maybe that's why, I don't know, but I'd never expected them to be 3-5 and barely scraping a win against the Jets.
Well, Belichick said it himself. I think he said it well, right? He said, "Look, we've been in contention for 20 years. A year off is not going to be the end of the world." You know, I think it's okay. I'm not worried about the Patriots. I'm not worried about the system.
Yeah,
it's okay.
He said it. He's like, hey, we sold ourselves the past 5 years, got 3 Super Bowls. You gotta expect this. And it's genius time to do it, right? Like you're gonna get the opted players back. You're gonna get a nice pick this year, and we're looking at the cap. Like they have one of the biggest caps going into next year, right? Like I'm scared about that now. They have a top 4 cap going into next year. Another team that has it is the Jets. Darnold looks okay, but let's see. They'll probably have the number 1 pick. Will they get a new quarterback? What are they going to do? A lot of questions there, but I think that wraps it up. I mean, when you look at this team, like the Finns, 2 first-round picks, right? Like that's going to be an amazing team going forward. But that's a wrap on the AFC East. Let's move over to the AFC.
Sorry, I do want to say one thing about the Jets, right? I think the most interesting thing that the Jets have going for them is they have 2 choices, right? They can shop Lawrence or Darnold, and both they're probably gonna get a haul for either. So it's really, really interesting what's gonna happen here with the Jets. That's the exciting thing to watch.
They're straight up like the Cardinals a couple years ago, right? You had Rosen, you're like, oh, could we trust this guy? Let's just go with him. And then you're like, okay, Kyler Murray's there. We got the number 1 pick. All right, see ya, Rosen. But that's a good point. I mean,
but they should get way more for Darnold than the Cardinals got for Rosen. The Cardinals got nothing.
Yeah, because
where is Rosen?
Well,
where is Rosen?
He's backing up the Buccaneers. He's on the practice squad.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Yeah, so he got traded to the Dolphins, and then they let him go this year. And then he signed up to get trained by Tom Brady, so he's on the practice squad. But yeah, man, it'll be interesting to see where they go and what happens there. But man, shout out to Adam Gase, man, always finding a way to always lose and be the worst coach of all time. And but yeah, I mean, let's move on to the AFC South. We've got a great Thursday night football game. We've got the Titans and the Colts leading, at the top of their division. We got the Titans at 6-2, Colts at 5-3. We called this, right? We had them in the playoffs. They're proving it. Philip Rivers has not been that great in a lot of the games, right? And somehow they still squeaked out 5 wins. They also lost Marlon Mack going into the season. I mean, a lot of things, a lot of injuries, but the fact they're still here is pretty incredible.
Yeah, can we just talk about how much it must suck for the Colts that Andrew Luck retired? Oh my God, they were you can see this team, right? When I look at this team, I'm like, man, if only they had a quarterback.
That's exactly.
And they had one. They had a top 10 quarterback.
I mean,
I thought Philip Rivers would be a little better than this, and the fact that they still have 5 wins and second in the division, it shows how good that defense is.
Right, and man, it's not even, they lost Marlon back. They had defensive players out. They had their receivers out, right? Like Pascal's been out, Paris Campbell's been out, Pittman Jr. No one gives a shit about Hilton. No one gives a shit about Hilton. But Pittman Jr. They invested a high pick into him.
T.Y.
He's been out for so long. And it sucks. There's a lot of rookie receivers we were looking forward to watch Denzel Mims with the Jets, right? He's finally back. Pittman's finally back. But yeah, dude, if you're a QB, you have skills. You're looking at that team bro, I want to land with the Indianapolis Colts. They have a great defense. They have a great offensive line, amazing weapons. Now you want that job, and the fact that Philip Rivers was only there for 1 year, paying him $20 million. Dude, you can move on instantly. They have a top 4 cap going into next season. Looking forward to what they do there.
I will say with the Titans too, you see like you had best team in football potential on the team, and they've kind of underperformed the last 3 weeks, right? They've come out a little, or sorry, last 2 weeks because they did do well against the Steelers, right? Right up there with the Steelers, but then losing to the Bengals, letting the Bears compete with you.
Yeah,
I still have some questions about the Titans. They're obviously a playoff team. Are they a contender? I still am not sure.
I'm actually looking forward to the Titans. I think they'll get
Yeah,
better, right?
I hope
Tannehill's
so
still doing
too.
well. Henry's doing well. They also had like a huge COVID issue, right? Like, people were
Yeah.
getting sick. They were
Oh
missing
man.
practices. Their receivers, Corey Davis is in, he's out, he's in, he's out. You got
AJ Brown was out for a
A-
while.
AJ Brown. We're all in fantasy. Every week is like, oh, AJ Brown's questionable, right? Like every single week, he becomes questionable, and we're like, all right, man, we don't know. But I think they did such a great job,
Johnny
dude.
Smith was out. Well, he hurt
Yeah,
his ankle, but he was out for half a game.
but like bringing in Desmond King, an all-pro type cornerback for a sixth-round pick, genius move, right? Like they're doing great things. They picked up Jadeveon Clowney in the offseason. They didn't have to trade any picks. I mean, you just instantly already bolstered like an already good defense, right? So I'm assuming it's going to take a couple weeks, but once they get it together, I'm looking forward to this team.
And when
Uh,
we talked about in the NBA, right? Some teams are built for regular season, some teams are built for the playoffs. The Titans are a team built for the playoffs to me.
for sure, they're really well coached, and they have all the talent right now, and definitely looking forward to them making a strong push in the playoffs. Obviously, the Texans not making the playoffs. I think Ryan and Shahan had them making the playoffs in the wild card region. Things just went to shit, to be honest, right? You had Bill O'Brien getting fired, a lot of moving pieces, and I feel bad for Watson, but not too much to talk about here. I think next year they'll be
Yeah.
back in contention, though.
One thing I did notice is that they did say they're not going to shop JJ Watt. I think that's like not the move. JJ Watt deserves to go to a team, deserves to go contend. Like let him do that and get some value back.
I will retort that. I think I heard today that they're willing, like
Oh,
they're actually
okay.
planning
So
to move
that
him now this
okay,
offseason.
interesting. Because we had talked about like untradeable players that they said was Tunsil, Watson, and Watt, and everyone else was up. Like
Yeah,
that was the report I had seen a few weeks ago.
right. So I heard in this offseason, probably since they don't have a first round pick, right, or a
Well, I
second
heard
round
that they
pick.
were doing it in the offseason,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But,
They don't have any picks in the first and second round. They need some retooling, so I think they're going to shop JJ Watt. I heard the Packers were interested actually to make a move during the trade deadline too, but that didn't occur obviously. But yeah,
I
man.
think
I mean,
yeah.
what's clearly hurting the Texans is their lack of a star receiver on that team. And guess who they traded away? DeAndre Hopkins. And look
yeah,
what's
Will
biting them
Fuller
in the
has
butt.
kind of
DeAndre
been a
Hopkins not be on the team.
Will Fuller has been a star,
He's
honestly.
been, but they need another receiver. They don't have. Cooks has had a couple good games, but they really need a Hopkins somebody. And
Yeah, I mean, I feel like their biggest issue is actually defense, to be honest, right now. And obviously we talked about receiver moving on from Hopkins, that sucked. David Johnson hasn't been too bad actually. He's been pretty decent. I feel like you just gotta bolster that offensive line, maybe get him another weapon. But like Fuller has been like fantastic. He's been healthy. I'm knocking on wood right here. But yeah, man, let's see what they do. I think they'll probably be back in playoff contention next year. And then we round out with the Jags, looking.
Yeah.
We predicted like 2 wins for them, right? And we're actually on point. They won their first game. We're like, oh no, dude, maybe this team's actually somewhat decent. No, they dropped 7 straight, and they're headed for that number 2 pick. They could bring in Justin Fields, man, and I think that'd be incredible, right? I mean, Gardner Minshew has some upside, but he's been not so great on the hype train. But let's move on to probably one of the best divisions, right? And that'd be the AFC North, and that would be the Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Bengals. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was big on them. I really thought they could make a Super Bowl, run, but 8-0 is actually insane, right? And at the same fact, you have to take in that they almost lost to one of the worst teams, the Dallas Cowboys, this past weekend. We all witnessed that. We're like, what is going on? But man, that defense is stout. It's probably the best defense in the league right now. Big Ben's been somewhat decent. Their receivers are on and off, but like Chase Claypool, someone I mentioned in our rookie wide receiver thing, I was like, this guy has upside, right? The Steelers draft really good wide receivers. He's been proving that. What a great team.
I was going to say they may not have like a big name receiver, but they do have a lot of good, young, talented receivers led by Juju Smith Schuster that people underrating because even though they're like rotating and who does well, someone shows up every week on that receiving core. And don't forget, you got James Conner, that's a solid running back to Big Ben. And the addition of Big Ben back, that's a world of a difference to that team.
Right.
Yeah,
And to kind of move into that next team, right, with their are you guys seeing like so the Steelers are 8-0, right? They're the best record in the league. Are you seeing a gap between them and the Ravens?
I definitely
Yeah.
do, dude. Man, the record six
Yeah.
and two, they've had some really close games, right? Like even the Eagles at
Yeah.
some point almost beat them, right? Is crazy. I don't know. I think they just need to be on the same page again, be a little bit more consistent. I don't know what's happening, right? Like their defense, they have all the names, they have all the players, still giving up a lot of points, and their offense, I feel like they need. They brought in Des Bryant, right? Now he's on the actual like 53, but I
Mhm.
feel like they just need more of the passing game, to be honest. And you know, I don't know, man. The run game also, I think I think their offensive coordinator is just like big braining everything. He's like, hey, we have four good running backs. Let's just keep switching them out like every single drive. It's like, no, dude, just get that number one, get the number two running back, and just shove it, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't build that momentum with a running back if you keep swapping them out, right? And I feel like that would really help Lamar Jackson right now.
Yeah, and they
Yeah,
had a lot of running
it's
back injuries as well. With like Mark Ingram's out, I think there was another guy who was hurt. And I agree. I think the lack of having a solid passing, reliable passing game is hurting them because once they fall behind, it is shown that it's hard for them to catch back up or get that offense rolling because they lose that running game potentiality.
yeah, honestly, to some degree, obviously, they're so different, but like it kind of reminds me of like the 2016 or 2014 Cowboys, where it's like you're so dependent on like getting into the game early and getting in, where it's like if you fall behind, you're in trouble, right? Even those teams, right? They struggled as they fell behind, and that's kind of where you saw in the 2016 playoffs. They fell behind against Green Bay, and it's like, how do you get back, right? Um,
Yeah, you're like, I
yeah.
mean, I mean, when you look at this team, you're like, oh yeah, Lamar Jackson coming off MVP season, the defense is really good. This is something we talked about when we were talking about who's making the Super Bowl, right? We're like, dude, Chiefs could rack it up any single game, right? Any quarter, any drive, they can rack up points. But like the Ravens, if they don't come out with a strong lead, right, and the defense isn't playing like that top tier type defense, they're gonna have trouble. They're gonna have trouble winning games because they rely more on the running game and the fun actions with Lamar Jackson. But it's like without like a really great pass game, you're gonna struggle.
And I think that kind of transitions right into that next team in the division, right? The Browns are having a lot of the same problems the Ravens are having, right? They're just not as good. you know?
That's
Yeah.
exactly it. I feel like, obviously quarterback play, not horrible, but it's like obviously, not the
Yeah.
same tier at all.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, the Ravens are just a question mark on running back every single week. Browns actually have like a solid run,
So
right? And Chubb, he's been out a couple weeks. He should be coming back soon. But like Hunt's been living up to it. He's been great. They just lost OBJ, for a couple weeks now, and now he's out for the season. And man, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Browns. Some weeks they're really dominating, right? And other weeks they're like competing to barely beat the Bengals. Like,
right, they're scoring 6 points against the Raiders. It's like
like
what are we talking about? They have this thing where they're like you see like this fantastic offensive flashes, right? You're beating the Colts, right? You're destroying like 49 points against the Cowboys. You're talking about like offensive explosions, right? Obviously it's the Cowboys. Then
yeah.
you look at 7 points against the Steelers, 6 against the Raven, 6 against the Raiders. Like, what's going on?
I literally have the Browns. I was writing details about each team. I just put a question mark, man, because you never know what you're gonna get. They look really good. I'll give them that. When they look good, they look great, right? But when they look bad, they look like one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah,
On the
they're
bright
definitely
side, they
not
have they
consistent.
have done it. They have at least assured they're the best team in Cincinnati or in Ohio, right?
Maybe,
For that.
maybe just this year. This is the
Just no,
only
no,
year that.
no, no. They won both of the games this year, right? So they're like, okay,
Yeah.
at least we're better than Cincinnati.
And
Like,
speaking of Cincinnati, I'm actually kind of surprised. I think they're actually better than their record is. I think Joe Burrow's actually been very, very good. And I think they've showed that they got some receivers. Higgins, some monster. Boyd and AJ Green is coming back alive a little bit. I think that team can be something in the future. Like Dev said, I think that team can maybe next year, the year after, move up that division and maybe be a playoff contender.
Yeah, I
the
mean,
additional pieces.
Burrow has looked great. Herbert's looked great, right? Like we're looking. These rookie quarterbacks are coming out and they're like hitting the ground running, and we love to see it. I'm interested, right? Baker looked amazing his first year. So, like, I do think we just need to remember and calm down a little bit on some of these rookie quarterbacks. Like, uh,
It,
is Herbert going to be Herbert next year after they have a whole year of film on him? Same with
right,
Burrow.
right.
But so far, everything's going. They have all of the attributes you want to see.
Yeah, something me and Dev have talked about in depth, and we love talking about is the hit rate, right? With the quarterbacks in the first round. I mean, they look good. They look really good this year, but like, let's see, let's wait, let's hold, get our foot off
I know
the
it's so
gas
you
right
want to
now.
like just annoy like I'm ready to just be like, okay, Joe Burrow can win a Super Bowl, right? Like I'm ready to just give it to him because he's so like not this year obviously, but he has the talent. You see everything on paper that he can do it. Is it going to be there? Is it going to be consistent? What are we going to see year in and year out?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean the record is 2-5, kind of like exactly what we're predicting, but they've been way better than I actually ever thought. And like Ryan touched on, really good weapons. I mean, I feel like Mixon is a question mark. Sometimes he's great, sometimes he's really dooky. But like they got rid of Carlos Dunlap. I think they just need to retool their defense, but they're definitely a good team going forward, and they'll be fun to watch. Let's hit the last AFC division, and that is the AFC West. Obviously, the Chiefs 8-1. I mean, I think the craziest thing was that they did lose to the Raiders. That was their loss, not like the Ravens or some of the other teams they've played. But like, we expect this. We don't need to talk about them. They're a great team.
Yeah,
They got a
there's
good.
nothing to talk about.
Yeah, they're
Just Mahomes is amazing as usual.
yeah, but he's not winning you fantasy football games. But number two, we got 5-3. Oakland Raiders, right? This is another question mark team to me. Like they look really good. They beat the Chiefs, right? And but week to week, I'm just never sure if this team's gonna win that week.
And
Yeah,
they've
I
had
don't remember
COVID
what
issues
we.
as well.
Do you remember what we predicted on them? Because I think we had them right in that like 8-8, 7-9 range, right? And I mean, they may still be hitting that range, right? We'll have to see. So far, so good, right? I think they're on that like bubble of being a playoff team right now. They're in that playoff hunt. Let's see if they can keep it up.
This
Yeah,
division's interesting because I feel like the Raiders are kind of like the the Cleveland Browns, as like they have the talent to be good, but they're inconsistent. They have like really good games, and I just don't know
Yeah.
what you're gonna get. And then I think it's similar to that division where you have a younger quarterback. You got Herbert in there, you got Luck in there, and they're both looking pretty solid. I mean, Luck is a sophomore, second year, and they're both looking good. Like they can be potential. I don't know, maybe this year is their playoff year, but definitely a future playoff year because Herbert's looking incredible. I mean, like that Denver has been hit or miss, but Herbert's been on point.
And when we talking about the Raiders too, right? When Ruggs is playing, he has had those flashes of like, wow, right? Like he had that play where he had the like 70-yard touchdown on Tyrann Mathieu, right? Earlier in the year, and you're like, wow, Ruggs like has it.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
like it's interesting with the injuries too. Like he's been so hurt. Maybe they're even better than we've seen. We'll have to see.
It's true. Ruggs has missed a couple games, but
Yeah.
he is what we predicted, right? He has a
Yeah.
big playability. We just want to see a little bit more consistency there. I feel like their best receiver right now is Nelson Aguilar, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just
Yeah.
no one expected. They do have Ryan Edwards there. I think they just need to figure it out. I feel like it's a good team. We did have them like on the cusp of making the playoffs, so nothing too surprising there. The Broncos. Ryan and Shahan had them making the playoffs. I had my question marks there, but like once again, a lot of injuries. Fant's been
I was
injured.
about
We
to
got
say,
Judy, has missed a game or two, and Lock has
Miller
missed.
out for the year.
Yeah, Drew
Tony
Lock
now
has.
Luck missed 2 games. Fant missed a game. Like
Yeah,
that. Oh, Melvin Gordon was suspended a game, I think, or a game or two.
Yeah.
he was injured for sure, and yeah, man, I think there's just a lot of injuries there. I don't know what if we're sold on Lock yet, but I think we'll just wait this one out. And last team, the
Um,
Chargers.
Yeah.
Von Miller has been hurt the whole season. That defense has still been solid. Just imagine Von Miller healthy on that defense.
Yeah, I
So
feel
when
like
I think about the Broncos, though, when I think about that year, like Von Miller getting hurt, it's what like we weren't like really worrying about like Super Bowl contention this year. The biggest issue is that they still don't know what they have with Locke yet. Like they need to figure that out before the end of the year, and like the fact that he hasn't been on the field to figure it out has like hurt them.
Definitely.
Like,
I mean, he's back now. I don't think Vic Fangio's the choice at coach either. We saw it.
yeah,
I think was it the first game, the Titans and Broncos. We're like, okay, playoff team Titans. Broncos kept it close, dude. Not using those timeouts blew in their face, and that was the stupidest thing of all time. But like, let's go to a really exciting team here. It's the LA Chargers, led by Tyrod Taylor. Psych. No, they are led by the rookie Justin Herbert, who has been killing it, dude. This team should be 6-2, not 2-6, right? They just keep blowing leads in the fourth quarter. They've been playing really good teams too, right? And they just seem to blow it away at the fourth quarter. But I actually love this move though. They're 2-6. They have upside. It's looking good. Now you can get a great pick. Help Herbert out on the offensive line. They have some issues there, but the receivers are looking fantastic. Eckler's been missing. Like Eckler's been out for so many weeks, and they're still like a really competitive team. So once they bring him back, and obviously they lost their stud safety Derwin James early in the year too. So I mean, next year though, playoff team.
right. Um, man, the Chargers have been crazy, right? If anyone who has like followed the Chargers at any point know that they're like the goats, like them in Atlanta at like finding ways to lose games, right? Like the Chargers, like maybe even like argue like Atlanta's better at blowing leads, but the Chargers are better at just like losing random games for no reason. Where it's like, oh, you outplayed them like offensively and defensively, but you just lost on special. Like the Chargers just find random ways to lose games. Like this has been the story of who they are as a franchise. They're like the Clippers. They're a little cursed franchise, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like each week is a question mark. It's like, how are they going to lose this week? How are they going to lose? It's always a different thing. It's fun to watch though. But like this team for the future looks fantastic. Let's swap over to the NFC real quick here. Let's go with the NFC South, man. The Saints, the Bucks. They just played Sunday Night Football. Worst game of all time, dude. I was so excited on this. I was looking to win big. I was looking for an exciting game. That game was total trash. Up until that point, I was like, the Buccaneers are a fantastic team. Coming into this week, I'm just like, there's so many question marks. I think they'll get it together, but oh my god, that is disgusting. They're at 6-3, number 2. The Saints are 6-2, leading that division. They look really
they
good.
won both games against the Bucks, so they definitely have that tiebreaker.
Right.
Yeah. So going into the Saints real quick, I mean, they've been really good for missing Thomas for like since like week 1, right? Like they haven't had Michael Thomas, the 99 rated Madden player out here, and they've still been winning games, and I think that's incredible. Kamara has been like next level, right? I don't think he's the best runner in the league right now, but he's pass catching like the best pass catcher in the league right now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they missed Sanders as well for 2 games, I think, as well. And so they were putting in. It looked like they were putting Kamara more as a pass catcher to fill Michael Thomas's void, and putting Latavius Murray as a back, and then throwing a lot more Taysom Hill in there. But I think this proves my point that after 38-3 thrashing of Tom Brady, that Drew Brees is clearly the better quarterback.
I think that you are crazy still with that opinion. Like Taysom Hill,
38-3.
Taysom Hill was like carrying the Saints for a little bit offensively there. Like their run game destroyed too. I wasn't like when I walked away from that game, I was like, man, Breeze is amazing. I was like, man, Tom Brady has had a really bad game. Like
yeah. I mean, dude, Tampa really dropped the ball on that one. Their defense, which has been like top 4, top 5 defense, was not there, dude. They were horrible. You brought in Antonio Brown. You had all your receivers healthy, man. Godwin was healthy. Evans was there. Nothing happened on offense. I was just like, this is ridiculously bad.
So someone was unlucky, right? Like he had one of the like most unlucky interceptions I've seen in in time, right? And then you get that like where they stopped the Saints by getting a pick at like the goal line. So it's like, okay, well, they got a 3 and out. Now the Saints are just back where they were. Right?
It was just a really rough game. Coming into halftime, I thought they still had a chance at halftime. I'm like, Tom Brady will get it together. They did not. But hey, I still believe in this team. They'll make the playoffs for sure. But definitely a question mark.
Me, right? Like when I looked and we saw those back-to-back games, they were the best team in the league for 2 weeks, right? Like when we talk about the way they smashed the Packers and smashed the Raiders. 2 weeks in a row, back-to-back, they were the best team in the league. What happened? Like
And that was the crazy part. I was looking last week. I was like, how'd they do last week? They scored over 40 points last week, right? And I was like, what? Like, did they run up the score or what? But like, that is insane
They
how
did run
bad they
up the
were.
score.
That was
They
two
did
weeks
run
ago,
up the
right?
score.
It was 2 weeks ago, right? Against the Giants, they had a rough game.
Oh
Like
yeah.
25-23, close against the Giants. Um, we'll get to the NFC East. I have no clue what's going on in New York either, so we'll talk about it.
But
So I think coming away from this, the Bucks have the tools. They should be great, but I think any given week they'll either be horrible or they'll come out and show out. So I mean, I still believe in this team. I think they'll get it back together. Let's finish out this division right here. We've got the Falcons and the Panthers both tied at 3-6. Falcons, we didn't have them making the playoffs, but we thought they'd be at least in contention. They have a lot of retooling to do. We'll talk about it another time. The Panthers looking really good, man. They've been really competitive. They've dropped a game or two. McCaffrey's been out so many weeks, but Mike Davis has really stepped up, and that team looks really good, man. And we talked about Matt Rule being there for 7 years. Like, this is a team I think going to next year, maybe 2 years from now, really gonna be a contender for a while, and it's looking good over there in Carolina.
Yeah, if you want to win in the NFL, you need a coach and you need a quarterback. They got the coach. It looks like that, at least from what I'm seeing. Matt Rule's the coach. I think they're confident in that.
I think
We'll figure
I
out
think
the
Teddy
quarterback.
Bridgewater can be the quarterback. He's been very solid. I mean, he's not like prolific, like taking over the top, but I think he can be the game manager who takes you if they get other weapons. I think he's definitely
Right.
doing it with Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel. He's
Yeah, I just
using
don't see him as like a franchise guy, but if Teddy Bridgewater is playing on like the contracts he's on right now, like he can get a Super Bowl on like
Yeah.
this style of contract,
Yeah, and they have a lot of young players on defense playing really well. And yeah, man, this looks like a really good team for the future. So we'll keep an eye out on them. We talked about the Packers. Let's jump into that division. That's the NFC North. Packers lead. They're 6-2. Like we mentioned, they lost to the Saints or the Buccaneers quite badly. But like, that team's looked really good, right? Like, we're questioning Aaron Rodgers. The team not surrounding him with weapons, and somehow he's still doing it. Aaron Jones has been good. Devontae Adams, even though he's missed like 2.5 games, 3 games, he's shown out, and he's actually putting up the number one wide receiver records right now. The
Yeah.
stats, and he's missed like 2.5 games. Like, it's insane how good they've been, and the defense is stepping up. The linebackers, D line doing well. That secondary, fantastic with some young players.
Yeah, they're a team that's had their up and downs too, right? Like when we look, they've been consistently great the whole year except the Bucks game and the Vikings game, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like so the Vikings and the Bucks game, to me, those are like excusable losses. This is a Super Bowl contending team. You're talking about like rivalries, right? In the sense of like these are big games, right? In your conference, in division game with the Vikings, that happens. You lose some of those games. I'm not worried about them. They're the best team in this division. Might be the best team in the NFC right now.
Yep.
I forget, was the Bucks game one of the games they were without Devontae Adams? Or was
It was coming off the bye week, so I
Okay, no,
think
they
he
had
was
him there.
there, but
Yeah, those games are just anomalies, and they were good teams. It wasn't like they're getting trashed by some. I mean, I think those were good teams. I think they can do something, but I just feel like against a good defensive team, it's hard for them to keep up. Like, I think that's what Vikings did. They like played their game, stopped them a couple of times, and got the score up, and forced them out of their comfort zone.
yeah,
But Rodgers has been doing good, given that Adams was hurt, and they have Lazard has been out, and they've been with MVS basically, and that's it.
And they're
yeah.
And the running backs are all out.
I don't know the stats on it, but I have a friend who's a Packers fan who told me that the Packers are really bad after bye weeks. So, like that's how he feels as a fan. So maybe that is the case too, right? Maybe it should be like we shouldn't take too much on that coming out of the bye week and losing.
I guess we can watch that. I mean, but like even like names like Robert Tonyan stepping up for Aaron Rodgers in a big way. But like we're talking about defenses, Chicago Bears, right? They're number 2, 5-4. I think that's a surprising team in this division. I don't think anyone expected. We said that, right? Like the defense was good. They took a step down last year, but I mean they're playing at an elite level. They brought in what's his face?
Nick Foles.
Nick Foles, yeah, MVP, Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles. He's been doing well, even with Trubisky. Like they were 3-0, right? And it's just crazy to think about. But they're 5-4. I don't think they're going to go far in the playoffs. To be honest, I think they're a decent team. I feel like there's just a couple things they need to work out. Losing Tariq Cohen for the year doesn't help. The run game's like okay. Montgomery's all right, but he's not gonna help you too much. And yeah, I feel like there's just quite a few question marks I have with this team.
Yeah, even with Nick Foles, I think it's pretty clear. Nick Foles is not the guy, right? This is not a long-term solution.
Yeah.
Um,
But I think it is surprising that they are 5-4. They look good most weeks, but yeah, I mean, Shahan's not here to defend the Bears and talk about how great they are here, so that's fantastic. So we're gonna move along to the Minnesota Vikings, who I think a lot of people here had them in the playoffs, right? I did not have them in the playoffs. I chose the Packers to win the division.
I did not have them in the playoffs.
Dev and Shahan had them to win the divisions. I'm just going to throw shade at you guys here. But, I mean, the defense is not the same, right? It's not what we've seen before. Losing Diggs looks like it hurt them in a big way, right? But Justin Jefferson's stepping up now. He looks really good for the future. And, I mean, dude, Dalvin Cook feasting out here, right? Like, that's the biggest takeaway here. Hopefully he stays healthy, but he is playing like the number one running back in the game right now.
And honestly, if Dalvin Cook keeps playing the way he's playing, they don't need Diggs. They don't need Thielen. They don't need Jefferson. They don't need a passing game. Like they just need screens to him and like short passes and get that run game going. Because the last 2 games, they didn't even pass. Like they had like 10 pass attempts. I mean, come on, they're like he's been going off. That run game is their bread and butter. If they get that rolling, they win games. Period. That's how they beat the Packers. That's how they won last week, and that's how they won the week before, I think, too. So I mean.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, their secondary, their linebackers, it's just all question marks, right? Like, they used to be a really good, solid defense, and their coach loves doing that. But, like, you saw, they traded for Yannick Ngakoue. They sucked. They're like, you know what? We're just going to trade him away. And they traded him to the Ravens. They're like, you know, we need picks. I think it's going to take some time. Kirk Cousins, we'll see if they stick with him or not. But just a lot of question marks there. But Dalvin Cook, number one running back.
Yeah, it's been interesting too, right? Like when we looked at Minnesota, I think a big factor was Daniil Hunter also going to take that step up, and he hasn't played, right? Like, you know, you're talking about losing what like a lot of people were saying, like this is someone who can take a step into that like one of the best defenders in the league category, and it's like that's a big loss, you know. 14.5 sacks last year, right? I think. So, yeah, 14.5 sacks in 2018 and 2019. I mean, this is a great player. It's tough.
For sure. And, I mean, just another team there, 3-5. The Detroit Lions, man. I don't know what they're doing. That's just a big question mark. They got so many running backs. It's just a shit show there. So we're going to skip over them. Nothing to talk about there. We didn't expect them to make the playoffs this year. I thought they had the chance, but, yeah, they don't look good. They need new coach probably and to retool and figure things out for sure. Moving on to the NFC West, one of the other, like, probably the best division as well, and definitely in the NFC. But, like, okay, 6-2 Seattle. I told you guys I love Seattle. They're showing up. The Bills lost, kind of a question mark, right? That showed, like, where they're lacking. Their defense, not so great, but Russell Wilson also had like a really shitty performance too, right? He had picks, he had fumbles, and that's not something we're expecting with like a MVP type candidate right there. But overall, man, the team looks really good. DK Metcalf, top 5 receiver right now. You know, he's really shown out. Lockett has been really good. Carson's missed a couple games too, so I think that affects the Seahawks.
Plus, DK Metcalf has arguably given us like the best meme of the NFL season, so we like to see that with that amazing. The equivalent of a chase down block. That did end up mattering, right? Like a lot of people forget. They settled for a field goal in that possession. That play mattered.
Oh, no, for sure. And Budda Baker was like, bro, like, what is happening? How did that happen? That was an insane play. But that was a really fun game to watch, you know? And I mean,
Russell Wilson has been incredible this year. Even the Bills game where he did have those turnovers, he still kept them in the game. He still scoring, putting points on there. And you mentioned it, without Carson, without a running game, and some of the time he was still able to carry that offense. And he's been magnificent. I mean, he had some turnovers. Against the Bills, he had turnover. Against the Cardinals, he had that turnover at the end of the game. It is what it is, but he's still been incredible.
Yeah, and I just love mostly what the Seattle's doing. I mean, the Jamal Adams things doesn't look like it's like that great of a deal. They gave us so many first-round picks for no reason. But, man, they got Carlos Dunlap from the Bengals, right? Like a really good defensive player. They have Damon Snacks Harrison on the practice squad as a D tackle, right? He can feast. They have like so much depth on that team, and I love it.
Yeah, one thing I do want to point out, so like Seattle is on pace to have the worst pass defense in NFL history, and I think they're on pace to do it by like 500 yards or more. So like
That's that's insane. I
that's
mean,
that's really worrying
here, here
if you're a
here's
Seahawks fan, right?
you can easily tell though. But hey, guys, can you guys name a Seattle Seahawks cornerback for me?
Uh, what's that guy
Uh,
named Adams?
No, he's a
no, he's a
safety.
safety,
Oh,
and
Exactly. That's the point. Like
Richard Sherman. He was one. He was one.
that's the point. Like you don't know these names because they're not good, right? And that's something they need to work on. But I'm really hoping this team makes a hard push in the playoffs. It'll be fun to watch.
I think
Another
they
great
had
team.
some major injuries in the secondary too, as well. And even without not big name players, a lot of them got injured.
I'm not sure on the injury front, but we'd have to look it up.
Breaking news here: Seattle Seahawks have some major injuries in their secondary. This is Ryan Azadi reporting here. We'll have to fact check. We'll give you the details later. But another great team in this division, Arizona Cardinals. Man, some of you guys chose them to make the playoffs. This team is showing out. Hopkins looks fantastic. Murray looks fantastic. That defense, I told you guys about the defense, though, right? Like, Peterson might not be the number one cornerback, but he's still pretty good. Buda Baker's there. I mean, that defense is fantastic. They're playing at an elite level. I love this team.
I
Yeah,
didn't think Murray would be this great, but he exceeded my expectations. I knew he was going to take a step up, but I didn't think it would be this big of a step. I think definitely passing wise and running wise and playmaking wise, and it helps having Hopkins on
so
one side of the field for him.
I actually have kind of the opposite feeling about Murray this season. Murray's been worse than I expected, which is like a prop to like how good Murray is. Like I actually so Murray has had just some of these like wild games where he's like thrown like I think he had like a 3 pick game or like a 4 pick game. Like he's had some weird inconsistencies. But then when he's at his best, like this is what we saw last year and what I expected. I expected this Kyler Murray, right? I think I had him as like an MVP favorite, right? He might still be an MVP favorite by the end of the year. We'll see. This has been probably I think probably what you probably have Mahomes maybe as the favorite right now. But like it's been a close race. Like it's not been a runaway like we've seen the last few years. So like Lamar Jackson has it locked after week 8. Like Mahomes has got it locked after week 8. Like in the last 2 years. Well, there's the Breeze. Breeze had an amazing 2018 as well. But yeah,
This year is like week to week, man. It can change, right? Like first we were like Wilson MVP, then like Josh Allen was really killing it. We're like, oh, yeah, maybe Josh Allen, and then we got a bad game from Russell. We got some bad games from Allen. So it's like, okay, Mahomes back number one. So
yeah.
but like he's definitely in contention. And you're right, he's been really inconsistent. I mean, the passing game's there, but he's been really making up with his feet this year. The rushing yards are insane. And man, we'll definitely see. But that's a fun team to watch for sure.
Yeah, his ability to not get hit has been stellar still, even though Cliff Kingsbury has like with some of these play calls Cliff Kingsbury's come in like in the last game, like that 3rd-and-1 play, like was he trying to get Wilson like was he trying to get not Wilson, sorry, Kyler Murray hurt? Like that's what it felt like with that play call.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, just in general, dude. I mean, we went into the season thinking like Kenyon Drake, top 10 running back. He's been dookie, but Chase Edmonds, man, stepping up. Christian Kirk's been really hot these past few weeks too. I think that's definitely helped. But man, fun team to watch. Looking forward to them playing the Seahawks. Again later in the season, but they'll be fun. LA Rams, same record as the Cardinals. I just don't believe in them too much, right? They're 5-3. Those losses were pretty bad, right? Like sometimes they look decent. They did play the NFC East, so you get a lot of wins that way too. They started out the season playing like the Giants, the Eagles, and the Cowboys, so easily 3 wins right there. But man, I just have my question marks. Jared Goff still very inconsistent, still decent some weeks and the worst quarterback you've ever seen on other weeks. But
The
I mean
NFC
that
East has 2 wins against other divisions right now. So like those are just free pencil and wins.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the NFC East too. I mean, playing the 2 best divisions, right? The AFC, the North, and the NFC West. I mean, that does not help at all. But man, the LA Rams very questionable. I think their defense is really good. Their offense isn't producing that well. Their running backs, they have 3 running backs. They're always injured. They're not producing that great. Woods has been good. Cup has not been good. Ryan knows that firsthand, having him on his fantasy team for most of the season. And I mean, yeah,
I think that LA Rams offense is the most equivalently distributed offense I've ever seen in the history of National Football League. Like everybody's gonna get like 50 yards.
Right. It's been that's a testament to like how good Sean McVay is, I think, to some degree. Right. Like when I look at them, I say like they have good names. Right. Like you see the LA offense, they have good names, but there's no superstars here, and like their ability to like, okay, we have no superstars, we're gonna work it, right? And like
yeah.
the fact that the offense is still churning, right? They're doing well. I'm interested to see. This is still a playoff team, though, right? Especially with, or like in contention for being a playoff team, especially with the rest, like the NFC East. You know, they're not contending for any wild card spots there. Nothing to worry about there. You only have one, like the Falcons, Panthers, they're not contending. Vikings, Lions, they're not contending, right? So this is like, okay, we're all in right here on getting this playoff spot.
Right. And I mean, like I said, I do have my question and hesitancy about the team, but yeah, sitting at 5-3, you're still making the playoffs today, right? The Bucks are making it, the Bears are making it, and you're making it. And they're actually talking about potentially, if they miss games, season games, they're going to push to 8 teams, on both conferences to make the playoffs. But yeah, I think they're still on the right track. Hopefully they figure it out. But I mean, just not the same 5-3 as the Cardinals for me. And okay, 4-5 49ers, a lot of injuries there. I had I was hesitant to put make them the playoffs going into the season, right? I felt like last year was really magical for them, and I'm just not a huge Jimmy G fan, right? And I knew the defense. It's really hard for a defense to be elite year to year, and losing losing Bosa, losing all these other pieces definitely didn't help. The receivers been injured. They've had COVID, right? Like there's a lot of question marks here. The running backs, same thing. Mostert's been hot. He's missing games. You got Coleman. You've got McKinnon. It's just in and out. Just a lot of things going on. Still 4-5 though, but I don't think they're making the playoffs.
I think it's hard to evaluate this 49ers team because they showed a figure on TV in one of the last games that I think it was either the top 8 or 9 producers of offense on the Super Bowl team are out for in the season or at least games an injury. So it's really unfair to evaluate this team because they really like Kittle's out, Garoppolo's out, 3 or 4 running backs are out, all the receivers are out. I mean, it's like playing Madden with your third string team and expecting to beat a Seattle Seahawks team. It's not going to happen. So, I mean, yeah, it's a difficult season for them.
Yeah, and they've been pretty. So like obviously they got blown out by the Packers. They got blown out by the Dolphins. But other than that, they've been competing. You know, they lose to the Eagles. They've been competing in games though, still with all those injuries. But what's really interesting to me is like I do think Jimmy Garoppolo's probably done in San Francisco, right? Like, Shanahan now has like the perfect excuse to move on. Like I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is done as an NFL quarterback, but I think he might be done in San Francisco.
For sure. I mean, at worst, in case no team wanted him, he's gonna end up back with the Pats, right? Like, let's be real here. And Bill Belichick loved him. I think he could work with the Patriots. But yeah, man, I just had my questions, going into the season, and all these injuries definitely didn't help them. But I mean, yeah, still with all these injuries, still 4-5. Better than any record in the next division, the NFC East, right? At max, we got 3 wins with the Eagles. A lot of questions there, dude. I mean, the receivers have been injured, right? Like Jeffries missed so many weeks. Jackson, Rager, right? Their pick hasn't played, so many weeks. Now he's back. But I mean, that team looks like crap. And they look good on other weeks too, right? Like they competed with the Ravens, and I was like, oh, okay, that's
beat
fantastic.
The 49ers.
Okay, well they're already injured, right? But like they went to overtime with the Bengals, who are at 2 wins, right? Like it's just really confusing. This division is just like holy crap bad, right? Like no one could have expected this.
Historically bad, right?
The receiver Fulgham, he's been incredible. That was a bright spot in their gloomy season, playoff season, but gloomy season.
Yeah, no, for sure. Fulgham's like probably the one highlight. Wentz has really dropped off. Top 5 QB, according to Steph, going to the season. Carson Wentz has dropped off. But like, dude, so many injuries. O-line's always injured. The receivers, the defense. I mean, somehow they're still probably gonna win the division. But like, holy crap! Like this whole division is just whack.
And I think Wentz has had like really bright spots. He had really bright spots, but he had also really not bright spot. Like against the Giants, where he threw those incredible touchdown pass to win the game. And I mean, I guess it's a Giant, but still, like to lead
No,
that and to make those plays are incredible as well.
that's what Wentz is right now, right? And it's been so interesting. When you look at like Wentz at his best, he has had those like, oh my God moments, right?
Yeah.
And like he just seems to be making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. And it's like, is he going to fix the mental part of playing football? Because like the physical part is clearly there for Wentz. Wentz has everything physically, and when he's locked in, it works.
Yeah. And I think this year he's just getting into his own head, to be honest. I didn't disagree with you. I think he is like in the contention for top five. I didn't have him in my top five. But like right now, is the Cowboys game that did it for me. I'm just like some of these overthrowing for absolutely no reason. Like our
He's
defense
rushing throws for no reason.
our defense is total trash. Like, why do you have to throw the ball in the middle of nowhere so far and then it gets picked, right? Like, no one was expecting that to happen. It's just bad. He's just doing it to himself. And to be fair, like I said, the O-line has been horrible. He has been missing so many receivers. Miles Sanders, like a top, 6, 8 running back in the league, he's missed multiple weeks, right? Like, I'm going to support, Wentz too. He is a good player. He just needs to get out of his own head. I mean, I looked at some stats earlier today. We're dropping off. He was at 40% in the red zone earlier in the past few years. Now he's at 20%. The short yardage passing is way higher. The deep passing is not there, probably because it gets intercepted. And he's just chucking it down the field. But I think he's just getting in his own head. I think this team is still the best in the division, but holy crap.
Yeah. You know that like meme from last year, Sam Darnold, like I seen ghosts out there. Wentz has been seeing ghosts out there all season, and it's clear like
right.
There's something going on.
I think Darnold didn't expect to see Casper and shit, right? He was confused. Like Wentz is going into a haunted house and like, whoa, I see ghosts. Like, bro, you did this to yourself. You're doing it. Get out of the haunted house. Just relax, take it easy, and get it together. We'll move on to the number 2 team in the division. It's the Washington football team. The team without a name is the number 2 team in this division. It's very confusing. They just lost Kyle Allen, which totally blows. But hey, we got Alex Smith out there. I'm scared seeing him out there, dude. I just want him to stay healthy for the rest of the season, to be honest. But looking at Washington, going into the season, that defense, fantastic, right? Like that front 7 is amazing. Their offense, I feel like, dude, they need to get a new quarterback, and things will be so much better, right? Who did they bench?
Dwayne Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins. I think he's healthy, right? They
didn't bench him. He moved to third string.
I know, that's the bad thing. I was like, wait, why is Alex Smith starting? Don't they have Haskins still on the team? Like, just throw him out there. But yeah, man, they have Terry McLaurin, looks really good. Their running back Gibson, he shows out every once in a while, but I think they're definitely a year or two away, and they just need to invest in a new quarterback.
Yeah, so far Haskins is looking like the Josh Rosen of that draft class, right? He might be a practice squad player next year.
Yeah. Well, see, with Rosen, I feel like I have upside. I have belief in him. Whereas Haskins, I never expected too much, but like, damn, dude, third string, that's pretty rough. But let's see what they do. I mean, all the other teams, right? Washington, Cowboys, Giants, all at 2 wins, and that's so sad to talk about. I think the Giants are actually a really good team. Not like, an elite playoff team, but like they've been way better than the record shows. They've been in close games. We've talked about the Bucks, but maybe that's the Bucks' fault, to be honest. But like, there's been a lot of tight, close games, and I think they have a lot of pieces, man. Their defense looks good. Right. Obviously, they're playing without Barkley, right? Like they're one of the biggest pieces of their offense. They're playing without him, but I think it's a good team heading into the future.
The biggest problem right now I'm having with the Giants is like, do you believe in Daniel Jones or not? Like, what is going on with Daniel Jones, right? Like, I think that they have the coach, right? I think I'm starting to believe in the Giants head coach. I think I'm starting to believe in their coaching staff. Right, obviously, Garrett as an offensive coordinator is like pretty, like we know who Garrett is, right? Garrett is a head coach in this league, so having a head coach as your offensive coordinator is like a good thing, right? Like, I'm not trying to undersell Garrett, right? Garrett's amazing, but it was time for him to leave the Cowboys, I think. It's just, man, I don't know what I don't know what Daniel Jones is. Daniel Jones, like Wentz, he's had those like some incredible plays, one where he tripped over himself. But
Dude, is Darnold. Darnold earlier in that week had like a 60-yard touchdown, I think, and then he was like, you know what, I got this. He is going straight forward, empty road, and then trips. The grass monster got at his feet, and he just fell down. That was embarrassing.
Sam Lamar Jackson Darnold out there with it.
I feel like the Giants are kind of a similar story to the Broncos. As like they're trying to figure out what Drew Luck is to them. The Giants trying to figure out what Daniel Jones can do for them.
So when I look at the Giants, they're 2-7, and like that doesn't matter. Like the reason I think it's been an unsuccessful year for the Giants is they have not figured out what's going on. Like, is Daniel Jones the future or not? Right? It's the same with the Giants could be 6-2 and still have those questions. Like that's the really important thing that they need to figure out, right? Just like the Bears, I think the Bears figured it out this year, right? With Trubisky, they know. So they know where they are, and they're in a good spot because they know where they are, right? Do the Giants know? And here's the thing: they may be contending with that number 2 pick, right? Like they might be in that conversation, number 2, number 3. They may have a new quarterback or a chance at a new quarterback, or who knows, right? Maybe Darnold becomes available for them, right? Maybe they can try that. They have pieces, right? And they have options. It's just going to be so interesting to watch.
Yeah, I mean Darnold stays in the same stadium, just swaps lockers. But no, that's exactly the point. Like I think the difference between them, I mean, the Broncos are questioning their quarterback, but like right now, I think the Giants are number 4 picking, right? And that's a supreme spot, right? They could potentially get that number 2 spot. I mean, even at number 4 though, you're talking about like the Trey Lances who have, upside, people love them, or the BYU quarterback, Zach Wilson. So I mean, that's definitely a good question mark.
Let's just get all of North Dakota into one division and see what happens.
Exactly. Let's see who's better, Wentz or Trey Lance. But I mean, their O-line, I think, okay. I mean, it's still progressing, and like I said, without a good running back, like you can't expect too much. Evan Ingram has really fallen off, right? We're talking about him like as a potential top 5 tight end the past few years. He's in like the 10 to 15 range at best right now. He had one good week this past week, but just in general, like I feel like they have like question marks. But going into the future, I feel like this team has the chance to figure it out. They're going to be in a good spot with the picks, and I actually believe in this team way more than this last team we're going to talk about, and it's the Dallas Cowboys, man. Dallas Cowboys with the number 3 pick right now in the NFL draft if it happened today. Just so many question marks, dude. Like with Dak, we expected it. We're like, hey, 40 burgers will win you games. We saw that early on. You lose Dak, and then everything.
40 burgers are off the table.
We're looking at 4-point burgers right now, right? Like we're like, hey, if we can somehow get 2 safeties or something. But like, dude, this team looks total crap, man. And it's sad. We saw Garrett Gilbert looked really good actually last week, and he could actually throw the 3 amazing weapons he has, right? Gallup, Lamb, Cooper. Like we were talking about this earlier on, but we don't know if this team's like rebuilding, retooling, getting a new quarterback or not. But there's just so many holes. Their whole defense could really just, go away and bring in new players, right? I think the best thing with the Cowboys is you're seeing the young players step up, right? We've seen Diggs. He's getting a lot of reps. He unfortunately got injured. He's going to miss time. He's going to miss the rest of the season now. But like Neville Gallimore, the DT of Oklahoma, their third-round pick, right? He's stepping up. He's looking really good. I think right now they need to go for that number 3 pick, right? Number 4, whatever. Be in that range. At least keep the option available for a new quarterback, right? I'm not saying that's what they need to do. If they bring back Dak, I love Dak, and I think he's fantastic. But there's just so many holes they need to fill. Linebacker, secondary, I mean, who knows? And their offensive line too, right? What used to be like probably the top or, at least top 3 the past few years is just like a total question mark now. You have Lyle Collins. Smith is always injured. Connor Williams doesn't look that great. Zach Martin looks great, right? And Biotish, the rookie, looks pretty good too. But I mean, you have a hole there. Zeke, I mean, I don't know, dude. Maybe Ryan was right. Maybe Ryan was right about Zeke going into the season. I mean, I think it's effect of a bad O-line and not having a good quarterback. But he does look like that running back. They'll give you a good solid 3, 4, 5 yards, but he's not going to break anything. He's not like that playmaker, the top 5, top 3 running back we saw in the past few years.
Right. He's even been struggling in pass blocking this year, which is surprising considering, like, he's had some insane blocks where you're like, only Zeke is the only running back who could make these kind of blocks. And then he's had some like, yeah, any running back knows how to cut. Why aren't you cut blocking? Like just some bizarre moments.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna bring Zeke up, but since you brought him up, I look, I think he's elite, but given the fact he doesn't have a quarterback, his O line is porous, and they're probably stacking the box because they know all they can do is run with Zeke. He's probably not going to be able to do much, and he's not going to be able to get a pass with these quarterbacks. But I agree with you. I think at this point, they might as well use their young talent and start testing them out, giving them reps
Yeah,
during these
they've
games
been
and getting
giving
their
Pollard
practice.
a lot of
Yeah,
reps.
Pollard
Yeah,
hasn't been terrible. I mean,
Pollard looks really good, man.
yeah.
When you see Zeke out there, getting 2-3 yards every time, and you bring in Pollard and he gets like a 20-yard run, you're like, bro, like you don't see that often with the Dallas Cowboys right now. And I think it's actually a good thing for the future, though, right? Like keeping Zeke, keeping Pollard, having like that lightning thunder type thing, like pound him with the thunder, with Zeke in there, and then bring in Pollard, fresh legs, and rip off
It,
a
it
nice
kind of
run.
reminds me of that Marion Barber Felix Jones that they had for a
Oh,
few years there, where it's like, okay, you've got this like every down back who pounds, and then you've got this like change of pace, come in, get those like quick bursts, right? So like when I look at Zeke, like he does kind of remind me of a Marion Barber. It's like you're not expecting Marion Barber to break off 50-yard runs. We're expecting him to do, and what he has been unsuccessful at is getting 5-yard runs. Instead, he's getting 3, 4-yard runs right now, right?
Right, right, right. And we're not trying to shit on Zeke. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
like we said, there's a lot of questions here overall, right? And I don't know. What do you guys think we should do? Should we go with a new quarterback? Should we put money into Dak and just try to like fill up the defense, or what are you guys
Yeah.
thinking?
So
I,
to me, it's like if you can get Dak in a position where he's tradable, that's like the most interesting like way to go about this, right? Because it's like I think it's time to get a new quarterback, not because Dak isn't great. It's because Dak's timeline doesn't seem to align with the Cowboys' timeline. Dak needs to be on a win now team, right? And it's trying to figure out how can you get that to match up, or if you end up getting like a number 2 pick, can you get into a win now mode with like trading away that pick, right? Maybe you trade that pick away and get like good solid defenders, like pieces more than draft picks, right? Or you're getting a lot of 2020 draft picks, like you want the 2020 another first round. Maybe you get who knows, right? Who knows what you can see,
Right,
but
right. And maybe you trade, you get the first and the second, and then maybe a couple late
yeah,
rounds. You get more
yeah,
the shotgun approach, right? Like you're getting more picks. Hopefully, you get we have a lot of holes, right? We talked about on defense. Even if it's like a fifth, sixth rounder, at least you're bringing new bodies and seeing what they can do.
and that's where getting up like in the draft position really helps. Where it's like, okay, in the second round you're drafting a first round graded player. In
Yeah,
the third round you're drafting a second round graded player. In the fourth round you're drafting a third round graded player, which means that you should get an extra player like that's making the roster for sure, making the roster, right? When you're
sure.
up there versus when you're drafting in like the at the back end, that's like you're losing players that are roster potential, right? That's where Bill Belichick and says like, okay, give me more players that maybe have roster potential because I don't know what I can get with the 32nd pick.
Yeah, especially going to the draft. We'll get Ryan's opinions right here real quick, but like going to the draft, you can tell the first round you're looking for a starter right now, right? The second, third round you're like, okay, this guy has the potential to be a good starter on our team, and the day three picks, right? It's just a lot of darts, right? And then at that point you're just looking at traits, right? Like this guy's really fast, he's really athletic, or this guy blocks really well, whatever it is. So I mean, just getting enough assets. I'll give my opinion real quick afterwards, but Ryan, what do you think we should do?
for me, I feel like this front office and these leadership people have to sit down and make a decision because it either gonna go one way or the other with this. And for me, I think there's so many injuries and so much concern. I don't know if we're gonna get a fully healthy Tyron Smith back. I don't know if Dak's gonna come back the same way. I don't know if these players and that defense has so many holes. I think if they're gonna go and try to rebuild that, it's gonna take them. I agree with that. I think it's gonna take them a little longer than Dak would like to wait. So I think for them to go out, get a young quarterback, get young pieces to fill these holes, and start essentially a rebuild with those young receivers and whatnot. I think that will be the way to go. Just given of what the roster looks like right now, with this season looks right now. And to put Dak in that position to be like, hey, we're getting all these young people and trying them out, and we're building. It's going to take us 5 years, and you want to win. It's not fair to him.
Yeah, the main problem is they're in this situation where had they signed Dak to a contract, maybe Dak's a tradable piece. But because they didn't get that contract done, now it's like, okay, what's going on with Dak? Like, is Dak going to walk away in free agency? Because that's a worst case scenario. It's like, okay, you have this high value player on your team and you can't get anything back for them.
Yeah, and I think going into the season, we're talking about like near 40 million. You weren't sold on it. I was like, okay, that is the price, right? And he definitely deserves it, right? Like he's been underpaid all
Oh
his
yeah,
career.
no one is doubting like Dak the character
Yeah,
deserves it.
yeah, for sure. Like he's a fourth round pick. He's not making like these first round quarterbacks were, and he's playing like he was like the number top 3 type quarterback in the league when he was healthy. But I feel like you just have to see where the dominoes fall, right? Like where's your pick at? If it's a number 3, if it's a number 2, right? That changes the whole game if you're there instead of picking at like number 7, right? Because at number 7 you're gonna have to give up a lot of assets. You're probably not gonna find that new quarterback.
So then
And
you're like, okay, I probably want Dak.
you probably want Dak back, right? And I mean, is Dak willing to wiggle a little bit because he is injured? He's coming back. Maybe he gives you a nice little friendlier deal than you were expecting. But I think it just really depends. But like you mentioned, I think the timelines are a little bit off, right? Like you don't want to invest so much money in your quarterback when the rest of your roster has so
They're
many
in
holes.
danger of becoming the Lions, right? Like if they invest in Dak, you become the Lions, and that's probably the worst spot to be in the NFL.
Yeah, I think best case scenario is kind of what you mentioned. I mean, you look into the number 2 pick, right? You get Fields, you franchise Dak or whatever, and you flip him, right? You get another
Yeah.
pick, and that's like dream world pipeline type dream thing. But like if that happened, that's fantastic. I love Dak. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back, but I just feel like if you're the number 3, 4, 5 pick, you do have to trade and get multiple picks because the defensive ends look somewhat decent. Gallimore is a decent D tackle, but like the secondary needs like a whole revamp, right? You're losing Brown, you're losing no, I think Brown's actually here for 2 more years. Awuzie, Jay Lewis, right? Your 2 starting cornerbacks, they're out after this year, and we have Diggs, but like who else is there? You need depth, you need starting roster, and the whole secondary is just confusing. The linebackers don't look great, right? I mean, there's just a lot of holes here, but I mean, I really do think this team could bounce back next year and be a somewhat decent team by filling some of these holes that we have.
I'm just so fascinated by the whole Dak thing, right? Because when we talk about the NBA, what makes the NBA great is free agency and trades. Like you don't see free agency and trades like on the level of the NBA, right? Because it's so player centric. Dak is that kind of like so you don't see stuff in the NFL of like 1 year rentals for players. Like someone trading and trying to sell out and win on a player who they know is going to leave. I don't know how it works with the franchise tag and like how you can trade, but like imagine, right? You trade away, you get Dak on that 1 year franchise tag deal. Maybe a team like Indy is willing to pay him 40 million to just like sell out for a year, right? And with the NFL being a hard cap, it's also more difficult than with the soft cap in the um in the NBA. But we'll see, right? It's hard to say. Maybe you get Jacoby Brissett back if you don't have that pick, and you're like, oh, let's tank for a year and figure out where we're going. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, and I feel like this. We talked about it, like Chicago, right? They could really use a Dak, and that elevate their
Yeah.
team in a major way. Big Ben, right? He has a knee injury he suffered this year. We don't know if he's going to be back next year. He said it's a really struggle to get practice every single week. So there's going to be a lot of teams. Denver, like we talked about
Patriots
these teams.
even.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
just
The
like so many.
49ers.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's a lot of positions and a lot of teams that are like in a better position to have a Dak. And like I said, if we do sign Dak long term, I don't think it's the end all be all and we're screwed. But they do need to do a better job of filling these holes. And let's see what happens. I mean, I think this just kind of shows you though, because we thought we were like contending, potentially Super Bowl team. We're obviously not, and we'll see. Actually, the past 22 games, the Jets and the Cowboys are 7-15. So that kind of shows you our trajectory. Uh,
Wow.
but yeah, man. Well, anyways, that was fun. We did a nice little fun kick around the NFL. Ryan, did you have any last words?
I was just gonna say with the Cowboys, it seems like you have to weigh the Cowboys' future and you have to weigh Dak's future. And I agree that we would hate to make it kind of the Lions where Matt Stafford's just suffering there. I mean, he might enjoy playing, but like he's not getting anywhere with that team, and he's been there whatever 15 years of his career, and just really sad. You want him to do something, and he just doesn't get the weapons and doesn't get the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the worst case scenario that the Cowboys are going to fall into, and that's what we want to avoid, right?
I think we definitely want to avoid it, but it comes down to Jerry Jones, right? Like he knows he doesn't have like 20 more years to adjust and get like a contending Super Bowl team. He only has a couple more years, so I think he wants to win now. I think that's why he will end up signing Dak. I think he will try to make some moves and maybe sell out, right? Maybe future year picks. He'll try to jump into this year and just figure something out and surround him with a better team.
Just harder to do in the NFL than it is in the NBA, right? Like if we looked at this team as an NBA team, and you're like, okay, you have the ability to just like go into the luxury tax and just like pay to try and sell out. It's
Yeah.
just not an option in the NFL.
No, for sure. And like we said, there's a lot of holes here. But anyways, let us know your thoughts. What surprised you? Where some shocking big things? And at the end of the season, going to the playoffs, we'll do another football segment. But this is fun, just going around the NFL, talking especially about the Dallas Cowboys here. But thanks again for listening. Thanks again for joining. Please share, like, subscribe, and we appreciate you being along part of this journey with us. And until next time, we're out.